Okay, I'm now on the Skyway here at Dallas Fort Worth. I'm going from Terminal C to Terminal A. My connecting flight to Tampa Bay.
Hey everyone, welcome back to OC Outdoorsman. Well, here on my business trip on my way to Tampa Bay via Dallas Fort Worth. So for most of the week, I'll be there pretty much on company business, but then for the latter part of the week, I will be fishing the city of Tampa Bay and the small surrounding cities. So fast forward a couple hours and here I've arrived at the Tampa Bay airport. If you look just ahead to the left here is a giant flamingo. But really interesting airport. Nice little tram system to get you from place to place. One great thing about today's trip is that the meeting venue is only about 15 minutes away to the JW Marriott, which you are seeing here. As you can see, we're right on the waterfront. Really nice location. Another great perk about this meeting venue is that after a day of meetings, I can just walk outside, cast out a line, and do some fishing.
Sheephead. Oh no, what is this? Catfish? Might be a saltwater catfish. Yep. That's a saltwater cat.
As you can see, I caught this guy on an artificial Berkeley gulp shrimp. I completely forgot that they have catfish and saltwater out here in the south. Many years ago, I used to catch catfish out in Mississippi, and one thing to note about these particular catfish is to avoid their fins because they have these spines that are poisonous. You get poked by one of these, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So here I decided to move across the Riverwalk, and just on the other side of the water are all the big hotels, and that's the JW Marriott where I'm staying. So here I'm going to try fishing this side of the water.
I bought a couple of Walmart rods. Got the good old ugly stick, the big water, and this Shakespeare excursion. Just a couple of El Cheapo rods. I brought my own reels, so here I am, a little after 8 a.m. over at H.E. Boyd Bridge that you're seeing right over there. And I believe this is Palmetto, Florida, and this is Seabreeze Point. So I just picked up some live shrimp. As you can see, I've cast out a couple of lines. And look how shallow the water is. I was talking to another guy earlier. He said this is high tide. But look at how shallow this is. I mean, even by these pilings, I could walk out there, probably only go down to my knees or at the worst my waist, but not very deep. And this is high tide. I mean, look, right under the bridge, it's like ankle deep.
So I didn't stay here very long, maybe an hour at the most, and then I packed up my gear and headed towards a different spot.
Alright guys, I'm now at Skyway Fishing Pier. This long bridge. I just cast out a line. I have a shrimp soaking there on the bottom. See if anything takes it. Oh, I forgot to mention the car rental place. They gave me a free upgrade. I got this Renegade, this Jeep Renegade 4x4. Pretty good deal, huh? I think I'd originally reserved a Chevy Malibu, and then they're like, hey, you want a free upgrade? And I got this bad boy. Man, it's instant. Look at that. This is what's been nibbling on my line. What is that? What is it? Snapper? Red snapper? Oh, okay. Thanks. Look at this bait ball. It's huge. Alright, let's see if there's any big fish hanging out here.
If you look closely, you can see that I'm using a Carolina rig, and my hooks were simply too big for these fish. I really regret not bringing a sabiki rig with me, so I had to resort to building my own.
Desperate times calls for desperate measures. I made the homemade sabiki using my favorite drop shot knots. Fortunately, I had my number 6 owner hooks for trout. Really tiny mosquito hooks. I put 4 of them on one line, tipped them all off with squid tentacles. Now let's see if I can make bait.
So let's speed up the footage here as I start landing these little bait fish on my homemade sabiki rig.
Caught a pelican.
At this point, I was catching so many bait fish that it caught the attention of this dolphin. So I landed a bait fish here, and this dolphin just swooped in and inhaled my bait, then took off. I was really worried that he was going to spool my line or spool my reel. So lucky for me, he did break off, and I didn't lose all of my line.
All right, after hooking into that dolphin, I lost my sabiki rig. So that's a pretty good sign. It's time to wrap things up here. I'm starving too. I need to grab lunch. So I think after lunch I'll probably head back to that spot in Tampa Bay where I know that there's sheephead there. I want to see if I could land one of those guys. So I'm gonna wrap things up. Let's take one last look at Skyway fishing pier. This is pretty cool. Goes way down that way. A lot of fishermen out today, and it's a Friday, so I'm sure on the weekend this area gets super packed. Really? What is this? Alright. Caught this on a live shrimp. I have to identify him. He's got some teeth on him. Alright, got a live shrimp here. Check this out. I'm going to cast it in the shadows. It's hit within minutes. See that? There we go. Got him. Got him. Dang it. Small. The heck?
Now, while I was catching a lot of smaller fish in this area, I'm telling you, this Riverwalk houses a lot of big fish. Now, if you keep your eye on the right side of the screen here, you're going to see a black drum slowly come into frame. And then right next to it was a redfish. And all day long, there it is, coming there. That's a black drum. They were swimming up and down this little channel here, and they were not taking anything that I'd throw at them. Then just a minute later, if you look at this, that is a redfish. Now, there were much bigger ones than this all over this dock, and they were just going in and out of the shadows. Now, one thing you notice, I'm casting away from him. You never want to cast your bait, your lures right on top of them. You'll spook them and they'll swim away. So here I'm trying to draw them towards the live shrimp, but as you can see, they're attracted to the shadows. They like to stick or camouflage themselves within the shadows, and they try to avoid sunlight for the most part. But yeah, they're just going up and down this channel all day long, and it was frustrating to see them and not be able to catch them, but they were all over this area.
See where my rod tip is?
These fish are so used to seeing people, they were not spooked by my rod. I could almost touch them with the tip of my fishing pole.
Look at them, right there. It's right next to me. Could touch them with my pole. Oh, caught the drum.
You catch that guy?
Yeah, look at this guy.
Oh my god.
Whoa. Oh, came off. Ah, that was a big one.
I forgot to mention that on the two reels that I brought with me, on one of them, this one I had it spooled with 12-pound monofilament, and that just isn't enough to hold down a big fish like this. But on my other rod I had 25-pound test, so I should have been using the other rod for this big fish.
Out. Shoot one underneath the dock again. What are these? Okay. Alright guys. Tell me if you know what kind of fish this is, but he's going home. He liked shrimp live. Just show him again. Oh man, it's a good fighting fish. Another one of these things. What are they? Man, they fight hard. Hey, look at him. Oh shoot, he went underneath. Ah.
So as you can see, this guy swam directly underneath this dock that I was standing on, and he wedged himself in there really tightly. I tried releasing the bail hoping that he would swim out and he would just stay put. Then I tried horsing him out like this, and he was wedged into something to the point where I just could not pull him free, and he ended up breaking my line.
Oh, there we go. There he is.
To mix things up a bit,
Oh, it does,
I
Catfish?
threw out a piece of squid, which was hit almost immediately by this saltwater catfish. Check it out. Once again, you have to be really careful when you're handling these fish, especially if they're flopping around on the ground like this. You need to avoid those spines. They could easily poke you in the ankles or jab you in the foot. So if you're able to handle them with fish grippers or minimize handling them if at all possible, you're better off. That's Tom moving in with the assist on. Again, you can see how careful he is in trying to get that hook out of this fish's mouth. You just need to be very careful.
Fish on. Oh, he's under the dock. Man, these guys are fighters. And drag.
Now, there were two target species that I was looking for here in Florida. The first was the sheephead. I felt I had a pretty decent chance of landing one of those, but my second one was a long shot, and I was really hoping to land a redfish, and that's what you're looking at here. It's incredible how strong they are and how much they fight. Keep in mind, this is a skinny guy, and he fought like a beast. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I landed a redfish here in Florida.
Look at that. That's a redfish. Hey, friends. Look at that. Ooh, yeah, can
Well, one of the local anglers, Tom, that I met the other day, he saw me land this guy and he offered to take my photo with this fish, and he even unhooked it because this redfish swallowed my hook. And this is pretty much how it went all day. One thing to note, this section of Tampa Bay is a big tourist spot, and whenever I'd land a fish, people would just gather around. In fact, when I landed this redfish, another tourist came by and asked to take a picture with him. But I met a lot of people. Everyone, the locals here are super nice. Well, the following day I was exhausted, so I figured I'd just chill, and I found a local cigar lounge here in Tampa and figured, you know what, why not try some of the local cigars while I'm here? So I decided to hang out at this lounge before my flight out of Florida. So here's a humidor. What's the old saying? It's like being a kid in a candy store. So much to select from. I found a bunch of my favorites from Ashton's and Padrones, but decided that I would try some of the local hand-rolled cigars, and that's what I ended up doing. So this is how I concluded my trip. I spent the next couple of hours smoking this Churchill cigar, waiting for my flight out of Tampa back to Orange County, California. So I spent the previous day from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. just fishing different spots. From Palmetto to St. Petersburg and then back to Tampa Bay. In 95-degree heat at 100% humidity. It was really brutal, but super fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't done so, please consider subscribing and do give this video a thumbs up. Thank you.